everybody, my name is Ryan and I am the Laser Noob. So for today's project, we are going to be laser engraving some skinny tumblers. How about that? Yeah? So what I did is I went on Etsy, I found a little dragon that I liked, I put my name in there, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna go into XCS today. We're going to be using XCS instead of Lightburn. And I'm going to show you guys how to build your own speed power test grid in XCS for tumblers. Then we're going to put them back in the roller. I don't have a chuck, so it's a roller. And we're going to use XCS in conjunction with the roller and my X-Tool D1 10 watt non-pro. And we are going to laser engrave these tumblers. So stick around and let's see how this turns out. All right, so we have XCS open, and the first thing that we are going to do is we are going to insert a rectangle. And we're just going to draw a rectangle here. Now we're going to go up here to our size. We're going to unlock that. And we're going to go 10 millimeters by 10 millimeters. And we're going to hold down control, use our mouse wheel, and zoom in a little bit here. Okay. So there's our first one. All right. We can make it line up with the grid if we want. If you're anal like I am. Okay. So from there, what we're going to do is we're going to go a grid array. And I want my spacing to be at 2.5 millimeters on both of these. So I'm going to go ahead and change that now. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go, I want 190, we're going to go 80, 70, 60. All the way down to 50. All right, so there we go. There's that one. And then we're going to go 190, 80, 70, 60. Okay, so now we're going to click OK, and now we actually have our grid set up. Zoom out a little bit. So there's our grid. So what we're going to do is we're going to have our right here is going to be our power, and then along here is going to be our speed. So we're going to go 190, 80, 70, 60. Okay, and then we're going to be at 90, 80, 70, 60, 50, all the way down to 40 millimeters a second. So now this grid will work. I mean, if you have a D1 5 watt or a D1 10 watt or a D1 20 watt pro or non-pro, this is going to get you really, really close on your powder coated stuff. Okay. So basically now what I'm going to do is I am going to insert some text. Insert some text. And we're going to go, we're just going to say power. Okay. Now I'm going to take that, I'm going to drag it down here, and I'm going to resize that. Nope, resize. Come on. You can do it. Okay. So this is my power. All right. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to rotate that at a minus 90. Minus 90. All right. We're off center. Control Z, Control Z. Okay, so we've got off center here somehow. So let's go back. We're going to do this again. And we're going to go power, scroll up, and resize. Now we're going to rotate that minus 90, and it worked that time. And I'm going to drag that just down here for now. Probably center on these squares right here. Now, if you can't get it centered because your mouse moves too fast, you can use your arrows, and you can actually move it with your arrows. Come on. There we go. Okay. So now we're going to do text again. And I'm going to make just one right now. I'm going to go 100, and then I'm going to resize that. And I'm going to drag it down. So now I'm center. Goodness gracious. We're going to center that right there. And then I'm going to move that over a little bit closer. All right, now what I'm going to do, instead of trying to do this all over again, is I'm going to hit Control C, and then I'm just going to paste it 4 times. So now I've got 5. So I'm going to take this one here, and I'm going to drag it down so it's center with that top one. Take this one, drag it down, it's center. I'm going to have to recenter this anyway, so it's not that big a deal. And then that center. So this one I'm going to do, so we've already got our 100. Now we're going to go 90, 80, 70, and 60. Okay, now I can take this and I can grab those and I can go to Align, and I'm going to align on horizontal center. So now they're all centered up. Now we've got our power. We know that this is our power line. We're going to come down here. We're going to insert text. And this one's going to be speed. Down here. And it's also going to be millimeters a second. Now we can take that and we can resize that guy. Move him over a little bit smaller. And now we're centered there with our speed, millimeters a second. So we got our power line, we got our speed. Now all we got to do is add our settings in here, our numbers in here. So we'll go text. We're going to start at 90% or 90 speed. So this is going to be 90 millimeters a second. And then I'm going to resize that. And then I'm going to Control C and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 paste. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that guy's going to go right there. Right there. Right there. Right there. And the reason I'm doing this, I've just found copying and pasting it and then changing the number is easier than resizing it every single time. So now I know they're all the same size. So we got 90, 80, 70, 60, 50, and 40. And 40. There we go. Okay, so our power line, our speed line. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go in and I'm going to change this. So this first square, I'm actually going to highlight this whole column right here. I'm going to select engrave. And I'm going to change that. So we're working at, we're going to do our speed first, because our speed is the only thing in this column that is going to stay the same throughout. So we're going to change this to 90. And we're going to change our lines per centimeter to 140. Okay. So now I'm going to select this column. I'm going to select engrave, and that's already on 80, and our lines per centimeter at 140. So sometimes if you have an updated version, it has 120. 120 is the minimum I like to use on mugs or on tumblers with powder coat. 140 just takes a little bit longer. Okay, so now that I've done those first two and I've got my speed set, I don't need to go through the rest of the other four. You guys are going to see how to finish this off. So now I'm going to come up here, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the power on that to 100, and then I'm going to change the power on this one to 90. And you can see how my lines per centimeter stay the same. My speed changes depending on yeah, it doesn't actually on this change it, but the power changes. So we've got 80 here. Again, our speed's still the same, 140, and this is going to be 70. And then this is going to be 60. All right, so now I can go, I'm at 190, 1 and 140, 90, 90, 1 and 140, 80, 90, 1, 140, 70, 90, 1, 140, and 60, 90, 1 and 140. Now I can do the same thing here. Same thing I just did on the other one. The only thing I'm doing now, instead of this is on the 90 speed, this is on the 80 speed, so now we're 80 over here. So I'll go the same thing, 100. I'm already on 140. I don't have to change anything else. All I gotta do is change the power settings on these. And then this one's going to be 90. This one's going to be 80. This one's 70. And that one's 60. Okay. Now you guys can repeat that with the rest of these and get your whole grid. And that is an easy, fairly quick way of setting up your own speed power test grid in XCS. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and delete this, and we'll delete it. And I'm going to go ahead and open up the speed test grid that I've already done. And we'll go here. Okay. So now you can see how I've got speed, millimeters a second, and all this is all already set. So 190 speed all the way down to 60 and 90 speed, 60 and 40, 140, all 100. Now this is 120 lines per centimeter, which is my minimum. So, but that's it. Now let's go ahead and we'll move over to the laser, and we'll go ahead and burn our first test grid. Okay, so I think one of the things I did wrong here in XCS is when I exported that out or processed it, I didn't have it set as a group, so it did each square individually. So what it would do is it would burn this square, and then once it got to here, it moved back so fast that it kind of it moved the tumbler. So then each line after that, as you guys can see, got a little bit more off center, a little bit more off center, a little bit more off center. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back into XCS and I'm gonna group that. I'm gonna do it again on this same mug, on the same tumbler, and before I do the blue one, and then we'll clean that off and we'll see what our settings are for the white one, and we'll go from there. So let's hop back into XCS for about 30 seconds and then we'll reburn this. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take these. You can see that each one right now is its own square. We're just gonna highlight the whole thing, right click, and group it. So now if I click on one thing, it's the entire thing. So hopefully it will start and just burn in. I think it's going to start from this end, but that way it'll just burn each line as it goes, and we won't get that jumping around. So let's head back over and see how this one's going to work. Okay, so grouping was a no-go, so it was still doing them individually. And what I noticed is that when I grouped them, it seemed like it was going to output it all in one speed, one power. At least that's what it was showing. So anyway, so we're just going to have to do it like this. What we're going to do, let's go ahead and clean this up. All I'm going to do is I'm going to take a melamine sponge that I've put some water on. And I'm just going to rub this thing. There's no chemicals on this whatsoever. Take a little paper towel. Every time I try to make a video, that's the only time somebody wants to text me, I swear. Okay, so this is not looking too bad here. So what you guys can see here, we've got 100% power, 90, 80, 70, at 90 speed, all the way down to 40 speed. And on this white one, this is looking like 90 power right here at 50 or 40. Either one looks pretty good. So I don't even have to go 100. So most of my tumblers I've been doing 170. And on this, it's still got a little white left in it at 100. The 140 looks good, but 90 and 50 on this looks to be about the best. So now I know on this, 90 and 50 on this tumbler. And now we're going to go ahead and we're going to do the speed power test on the blue one and see how well that cleans up. I'm going to clean it the exact same way. Water, melamine sponge, little elbow grease, and that's it. So let's get the blue one in. We'll do our test grid on it, see how that turns out. Okay, so we've done our test grid on our blue tumbler. A little hard to see right now, but we're going to clean that off. Again, melamine sponge, water. Now blue's going to take a little bit more elbow grease than the white did. Sometimes quite a bit more elbow grease. But you can see how I'm starting to get all that cleaned off. You can see how much elbow grease I'm putting into it with that melamine. Get all the way to that last side. Let's get some more water. Go to the other side of the sponge. Now clean it from another direction. Do some little circles. Okay. You can see some nice silver. So what I've got here, we're looking at, so I did my speed, all the numbers and everything at 170. And not cleaning up real well. I'm still getting some hazing on 70. But I'm looking at like 180 looks good, 150. So at 140, you can see it actually starts to discolor the stainless. So I'm looking, man, right now, it's really hard to tell. I'm actually, $190, $180, $170. All actually turned out pretty good. Let's see if we can get a little bit more of that off there. If I can get a, yeah, 100% power at 40 millimeters a second. Definitely too slow. But I'm looking like 190 and 180. So 100% power at 90 millimeters a second, 80 millimeters a second, and 70, and even 90 at 90, all came out pretty good. So, I mean, they're nice and silvery. So there's 90, 80, 70, all the way down. Then you see where 40 really starts to discolor. It gets, you know, discoloring the stainless itself. So I'm thinking, and I'm thinking 190 or 180 is going to be about my best setting on here, or even 170. So we're going to try it. So let's hop back into XCS. We'll download our design and we'll get it put on, and we'll burn a white and we'll burn a blue, get them cleaned off, and see how they look after we're all done. Okay, so now it's time to, we're going to upload our artwork. So we're going to go to open, actually import image. And we are going to go to our Dragon SVG. And this is it right here. So that right there is what we're going to be etching. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to go to -90. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this. I'm going to make this the same height as the other ones I have done. And it's 200.6 millimeters. Okay. And we are at 146.6 by 200.6 with our height. Okay, so our height is all the same. Our width is the same as all the other ones I have done. This is an engrave. And on this one, our speed power test showed us that 100% power and 70 millimeters a second. We're going to go ahead and do 140 and we'll hit process. We'll move over to the laser and we'll get this thing burned. All right, so I got the blue tumbler done, and it actually said, for the first time, it said it was going to take 88 minutes, and it ended up coming in at 62 minutes. So it actually was faster than what XCS said it was going to take. So here's my blue tumbler before I've cleaned it. Big old dragon, laser noob across there. So same thing, we're just going to clean that up with some water and a melamine sponge, and we'll see what the finished product looks like when it's all clean. All right, so we've got the blue tumbler all cleaned off, and bam! That came out super clean, super nice, no chemical cleanup. I mean, that thing is nice and clear. So my thought process behind this whole thing is, look, it costs an arm and a leg to get into doing lasers. The laser is expensive, material is expensive, your time is expensive. So I always try and do stuff where you guys can avoid trying to pay extra for chemicals, stuff like that. So, I mean, they have a chemical that you can get for this, you know, and it's supposed to just wash that stuff right off. But it's gonna save you like 2 minutes of clean time on a tumbler. I mean, if you're doing a big giant order and 2 minutes times 80 mugs, you know, or 80 tumblers, you know, that, I mean, okay, now that's a big deal. That's a big time difference. But when you're just doing one, a cheap melamine sponge, I buy them by 100 pack off of Amazon, and they're super cheap. You know, I can do a couple of tumblers with just one. I mean, more if it's not blue. So I'm just trying to do stuff that you guys can save some money and not have to buy all that extra junk and all that extra crap. So anyway, melamine sponge, water, even on a blue tumbler. We did our speed power test. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna put our white tumbler in there. It's a different speed, different power than the blue tumbler was. We're gonna get that burnt, get it all cleaned up, and then we're gonna show you guys that one. And hey, Bob's your uncle, we're all done.
There you go again, looking so handsome. Oh, you have your way, and it's making me weaken. You and your stardust, walking like that. It's really getting too much, but I can't pull back. Though I try to resist, I can't fight.
All right, guys, so we're all finished. You already saw the blue one. It came out really good. So here is the white. Now, the white was at a lower speed setting, same power, but lower speed setting. So it took a little bit longer, but you can see, I mean, that thing came out crystal clear, as well as the blue came out crystal clear. I mean, I'm really happy with these. And again, there's no chemical cleanup. There's nothing. Melamine sponges, water, that's it. So with that being said, guys, I'm going to put all the links down below. If you guys don't want to build your own power speed grid, I'm going to put one on my Etsy shop, or a couple on my Etsy shop. Grab the one that you like. I mean, they're like $1.25, so it's really cheap. Hey, it'll save you 15-20 minutes from setting up your own. The melamine sponges that I get from Amazon will be in the links below. I will put these different mugs in the links below. They are different manufacturers. They're pretty close to the same price. And I think they come out to like $7 or $8 a tumbler. And they all come with like straws and straw cleaners, metal straw. So with the lids. So anyway, all those are all going to be in the links below. Hey, be sure that you like the video and subscribe to the channel over there. Click the little laser noob thing. I appreciate you guys coming along. Thank you, and we'll see you in the next video.